Okay, welcome everyone to our first kickoff session for AI Mavericks. It's essentially just a study group for us to get together, honestly learn from each other on this journey. I do have a chat window started for us, and that's just a way for us to meet, to share profiles, to make sure that we can focus on things that are important to us. So I'm going to go ahead and share a few things with you today. I know we only have about 20 minutes, so I'm going to run through these slides really fast. But really, the purpose again is to have learning sessions, create this community of AI experts where we can share, have engaging discussions, and of course, share any kind of training, webinars, and tools. So, why am I here? I founded MaveSparks, and really, the point of MaveSparks is to help accelerate business growth through human AI collaboration. I have been in the technology industry for over 20 years. I've done cloud security, and now I'm super excited by AI. And so, as I work for many companies around the large enterprise space and with their customers, I see an incredible opportunity here to learn and grow together. How can I scale? How can I help others scale their companies using this information? And really, what does this technology mean for us? So agenda is really to meet and greet. We did a little bit of that earlier today, and I find so much value in the networking, and I expect this to be. So if you can just take a few moments, introduce yourself, paste your LinkedIn profile, connect. I'll also create a group for us so we can share more information throughout the month. I'm going to give a quick overview of the study program, and then I prepared a few slides on prompt engineering. So prompt engineering is just a really fancy term for how we interact with generative AI. So I didn't want you to walk away today with no additional study information. We're all here to learn. So this is what we're going to focus on today. And then we're going to spend a few minutes on just networking, next steps, and our next meeting. The program overview, we're going to have about 7 1-hour online webinars. We're going to do them the first Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. Eastern. Again, we can probably change if this time is not convenient for you guys. Just let me know. I just felt like things get busy at the end of the month with sales and everything else. So, beginning of the month seemed like a good time to get started. And then it gives us a whole month to look at our homework. So, I'll present a little video from my Chat About AI podcast or something else I found, like a paper or an article. And we can use that as kind of preparation for our next session for discussion. And again, a big part of this is really networking and really understanding what each one of us is trying to do with AI. What are we seeing? What are the applications? I feel like there's so much possibility in that human component that I really want to share this with you as well and make sure you're getting the most out of the program. And then, of course, AI tools. If you don't use it, you lose it. We'll provide some tools. We'll have homework around tools because the more you use the tools that are provided, the better you're going to be at it. So why now? Why are we even having this AI Maverick session? It's part of this huge evolution that we've gone through with technology. We started with punch cards in 1946, zeros and ones, then the green screens that nobody could read except for a few engineers that could code in Unix. And then we got the beautiful Apple computer. Now we're searching everything. And of course, the iPhone that we're so addicted to every day that we don't walk away from for just one moment. But now we have this generative AI, and generative AI is just another evolution of this technology trend. The thing that I think is very different than before is that it's moving much, much faster than any of us have ever predicted. And what's important here is that we keep on top of it because as we evolve with even these 7 sessions, we will see how much new information continues to evolve and come out, and we need to stay on top of. So, this is pretty exciting. So, what is this? What is this Chat GPT, Claude, Gemini? What are all these words we keep hearing about? What is a large language model? And I always say it's like a combination of all your Encyclopedia Britannicas, everything that's available on the internet, all the research papers, all the images out there. It's all piled into one and into these models that have been trained on this information to try to decipher what exactly does this world mean to us. And what's interesting and different about this time than we've ever had before in technology is that now, for the first time, you don't have to be a developer. You don't have to know any programming languages. You can interact with technology using the same language that you use to talk to your mom or your sister. So you have text, you input that text into conversation, and you get some sort of text response. So it feels like a very natural conversation. But there's things you need to consider as part of this. You really need to think about how you want to set up your interaction and your workspace for this. So first, you need to really choose your large language model. Decide how you handle sensitive information. The reason I use Claude, for example, is because it does not train on that text input and output that I have as an interaction. And so that's very important to me is privacy. Unless you have a subscription from GPT-4, that data can be used for training. So you have to be mindful of how the information is being used and really set up guardrails, right? That custom instructions, really guardrails about how you will use this technology. So, where are we in terms of these models? And again, this is just a point in time. We are have most capable, I think, with GPT-4, and there's more. GPT-5 is coming out, and there's variations of that. And then you have Anthropic with Claude, and then you have the ecosystems that many enterprises like Salesforce and Akamai use. Some are more Google centric, some are more Microsoft centric, and you'll see those models being used a lot more within the enterprise. But we also have a lot of niche players. And for example, one of my favorites is Perplexity for search because it shows you exactly how it's pulling in reference information. And the pro version, which is also free, shows you the logic of what the AI is thinking about when it's trying to process your request, that text query that you've put in there. So the two I want to focus on is ChatGPT 4. There is a free version. It is good at structured, analytical thinking, reviewing slides type of information. But there's also the Claude by Anthropic, which is very easy to use. I use it for my blog post. I find it easy to get feedback and really using it as my thought partner as part of MaveSparks. A lot of the thinking that I had to do, I was actually interacting with it. AI right now is to the level of having a friend with 110, 120 IQ. So this is not like a stupid machine. This is someone that you can use, again, with validation as a peer to try to brainstorm on things. So again, be mindful about sensitive data. It is so important. And I know sometimes we forget because we're so used to sharing with social media and everything else, but you do want to be very careful about the information that you share. You do not want to share information about your customers, your company, that secret sauce you're working on. So make sure that if you are using a model, that it's not training on that data. One of the ways to do it is to use your company's secure instance. Again, it separates that information from everything else and doesn't train on it. You can also buy ChatGPT for Teams. Again, it does not train the model on your data. It's about $25 a month. Or you could do ChatGPT Plus with data controls. Again, you can turn off the training. So be mindful. I feel like it's so important to make sure that you are not oversharing this information, especially sensitive information. This is more of my technical slide, and I get excited about this because I've been in tech for so long. But if you think about it, a lot of the things we're going to talk about are really at that user message perspective. You talk to the AI, Claude or ChatGPT, it gets you a response, you respond back. That's a user message. But what I get excited about as a programmer is that you can actually put system messages in there. So you can tell AI to go ahead and use the search function. You can tell it to go search Google and return responses to you. And that actually has the highest privilege of information. That means that if you want to think about order of operations in math, I know that has the highest order of operations. So the things in the parentheses in math, for example, always has the highest order of operations. In this case, the system message has the highest order of operation, then the user message, then some of the model outputs and tool outputs that you might get. So it's important to keep that in order of operations in mind and that there's a lot of power in this interaction. But I also want you to think about your user prompts, right? And how comprehensive you make your prompts will really improve the quality of the output you have and also reduce the likelihood of hallucinations. And what is a hallucination? It's essentially a lie. It's something that the model makes up because it doesn't have enough information. So it fills in the blank with incorrect information. And so the more information you provide in the prompt, that interaction, the better off will be your response. And so you can essentially provide a task description. You can give it more context. And there's colors here. So I want you to match the color with the actual part of the example. So the role is a coach role playing as my manager. The task description is respond and react realistically, right? So the context is increasing my compensations based on my performance, right? So you're providing a lot of information and very specific requirements. And you also can set boundaries. For example, avoid departing from a calm, professional tone, right? You can also add reasoning, explain your thinking behind your responses and feedback. So you might feel like looking at this, and then you get a response. You're like, this is not quite what I wanted. So you start adding more requirements. You're a coach playing my manager. I really need you to be giving me constructive feedback. Don't feel pressure to get this all right in the first prompt. So, one of the questions a lot of people ask all the time is, what do I use AI for? Should I be thinking about AI when I'm trying to schedule a meeting? And maybe you should be. So there's two types of tasks that you need to be thinking about when you should be using generative AI. The first one is the highly repetitive task that you perform consistently and follow similar patterns. AI, technology in general, loves patterns. It's so much better at pattern matching than humans will ever be, no matter how much we want to be. So think about those tasks that you do that AI can help you with. And then there's those that really need more mental muscle, essentially highly important tasks that require high quality thinking and can benefit from a second opinion. Hey, why not use AI for that? Here's an example from Taylor's to-do list. This is what Taylor does every day. For example, it has one-on-one meetings with Steve. It has a client call with Comcast. We probably all have seen tasks like that on our calendar. Those are the manual muscle tasks. And there's ways you can help with AI by using it as your assistant. Create my agenda. Help me figure out what should be discussed as part of my call with Comcast. Have they had any recent announcements? Tell me what's been going on with them. So the next one is really the mental muscle. Draft a proposal for partnership with client. Now, you really need that collaboration, that research. And so there's really three ways you can use these three personas to increase your productivity. You can have the assistant, right? Create that agenda for me. Quickly figure out what Comcast news has been in the last 6 months so I can be intelligent when I talk to them next time. It could be strategist, right? Hey, I need to create this client a report, or I need to make sure that I create this thought paper about AI leadership. This is where you start interacting. What topics would be important? What is the outline for that? How about we consider these three things when we're writing these papers and starting to really use it as a collaboration and strategist in your report? And then there's creator, and I use this one probably the most. And this is where you build your first draft. So I used to write my blog post, my newsletter for LinkedIn myself. It would take me 2 to 3 weeks of research, putting together, editing, and going back and forth. Now, with the use of Claude, I really have ideas of where I want to go. I have an outline, but then I use Claude to really present and create that first draft for me. And so that process that used to take me 2 to 3 weeks now takes me a day. So again, reality check. It's not all roses, as they say. Essentially, you do need to worry about hallucinations because, as beautiful as the results that you get are, you need to be thinking about where the issues are. So if you use it as an assistant, you need to make sure that you perform spot checks, that you check those resource links. Because trust me, when I start checking resource links, and then strategist, the same thing as well as the creator. So I want you to make sure that you are focusing on running these ideas past a trusted human, that you run them back and forth between different models, that you stay as the creator and get specific. So, my advice to you today, pick 1 or 2 use cases or prompts to start with and allocate 30 minutes every day on just using that, just playing with it. It doesn't have to be do a manual task, do a mental task, see what you get. And don't be discouraged by the bad output. Remember, you're learning, so it's going to get better as these tools continue to get better and your prompt engineering continues to get better. But you do need a habit. You need to look for cues and triggers to remind yourself to use AI as part of the process. How did you figure this out? So, our next session is going to be next October 3rd at 11 a.m. Eastern. I have a little assignment and I'll share these slides with you. I'd love for you to watch the 10-minute video on the AI implementation to start thinking about how these models actually get created. It's a little more technical, but I think provides a good foundation. I want you to follow up with the colleagues that you've met today and connect with them on LinkedIn. I'll also create a group for us to communicate all month long and share information. And please take the time to install Claude on your phone, on your desktop, and just start chatting. You can use GPT-4. I know it's very popular. Just make sure that you're very sensitive with the data that you're sharing. This concludes our quick presentation. I know we're almost at time, but I want to make sure that you've enjoyed this and also that you will come to the next session. Please tell your friends about it as well. I look forward to learning more about you.